And this will be episode number 3, I guess, in this issue documentary that I'm making. Um, just want to focus on discipline. And I know the video that I posted last night was a little bit longer than I expected. I'm trying to keep these about 2 minutes at the length. So I'm going to jump right here in a second. I think it's extremely important that when we talk about discipline as a concern, that we need to have a discipline policy that is effective, that is equitable, and that makes sense for whatever the consequence or the issue was that the person that needs this sort of involvement in. With that being said, in the longer version that I will post on my Facebook and on the website, I'm going to mention a story, and I apologize up front that if I get emotional on this, but I think this is key to this entire discipline issue. We have a discipline policy in Pasco County, in my opinion, that's ineffective. And I say that on a couple fronts. Number one, it's punitive in the wrong areas. And I will mention in this long post this afternoon of a story of a child that I dealt with last year, one of my students, who I'm almost positive in my 27 years, there's no way that this child had a reading ability above about a 4th grade reading level. I'm not trying to be derogatory, but his behavior and his antics in school were a front to hide that he could not read and write and speak at the appropriate grade level. He was an 11th grader by number, but by academic standards and everything else that happened, he was much lower. And he is one of thousands of kids who fit this issue. Yes, there are bad seeds. There's no way of denying that. There are kids who are mischievous, kids who have other priorities in life, and they cause trouble. But I truly believe that group is much smaller than we have determined in Pasco County. The group of students who are getting in trouble for other reasons are the people that I believe that our discipline policies fail. So back to that student. He would act up. He would get referrals. He would skip classes. And all of this got him a very good reputation with his so-called friends, but caused us to have problems as teachers because we just were completely bombarded with paperwork after paperwork to try to figure out what was going on with this kid, and we never got to the root of the problem, which in this case is his reading ability. In other cases, other students, the problem is placement. Kids placed in honors classes who don't belong there, kids who are placed in reading classes who failed an assessment that doesn't gauge their actual ability to read. Yet, they're forced because of these state assessments to be placed in a reading class for intervention strategies when what they really need are more arts or electives. So we need to look at our discipline process for the areas that will have the most impact and the best impact. I know that the county will talk about their matrix, that you have this issue and this is the step you go through, and then this happens and this is the next step. And those are good, only, my second point now, only if they're upheld every time. And I will give you another example that I'll talk about a little bit in depth in the post tonight, and that is this zero tolerance policy that Superintendent Browning put out earlier this year. And that is that if you fight and you're involved in a violent fight, altercation, expulsion hearings will be in place. We had a situation at Pasco High School this year, again without naming names, where not only was the assistant principal, the principal, but the SRO was injured in this altercation with this one student. Paperwork was filled out correctly, things were done in a timely manner, yet The one step that Browning is not talking about is that there is a buffer between the paperwork being turned in and what would be called the expulsion hearing. And that buffer is a committee meets to see whether or not that incident has met the standard of an expulsion. Again, he's made the statement that any kind of violent activity, automatic expulsion hearing, and here's a case where this kid is being suspended for the first half of the year, but is going to be brought back into the same school, the same principal, the same SRO, the same assistant principal. And that's the problem. Too often, point number 3, the consequences that we're being told are going to be done aren't being done at the school level. Whether it's tardies, whether it's skipping, whether it's congregating in hallways or areas of the school, the consequences aren't being doled out effectively, equitably. Fill in your adjective here. So I talked about yesterday the idea that everything had this sort of big umbrella issue of respect, and the same holds true for this debate on consequences. My fourth point I would like to mention is this is not a secret. The people that I'm running against, the candidates in this district and in the other districts in Pasco County, there are several candidates who want to go back to sort of compulsory penalties, making them scrape gum, clean sidewalks, trim bushes, pull weeds. And when we grew up, that was one of the things that was done. Yet we've learned, I hope, through the recidivism rate in prisons and jails, that that kind of punishment doesn't fix the issues. And if we wrap it back around to the first story I told today as I come to sort of a close on this video, if we don't get to the root of the problem, why the person is acting out, why they're skipping class, why are they missing school, why are they driving off campus, the whys, if we never get to the why, we're never going to fix the problem. You're going to get kids who are kicked out of school or removed from school, let me put it that way, due to OSS or suspensions, expulsions, who are losing educational experience because they don't fit the hole that we're trying to force them into. And until we can fix the holes in the system, the discipline plan is never going to work. Again, come check out my Facebook page and the website. All of that will be at the end of this video, where there'll be a longer explanation, and I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.